We are live.
Woohoo! What a Tuesday.
Is it just Tuesday?
I know, doesn't it feel like it's I
Oh,
actually thought it was Wednesday all day and then realized it was Tuesday.
that's not that fun. Like,
It's
it's
kinda
better.
nice, you gain a day back.
Oh, really?
You're like, "I am the opposite."
I like the opposite. Like, I like that it's actually Friday and I thought it was Tuesday.
Mm,
That would be nice.
yeah, I guess I don't know, I just feel like I have a lot to do this week, and then I'm going glamping on Friday, so I kinda need to just, get it all together before that, so, an extra day is a good thing.
Right, okay, got it. Alright, you need the extra days
I
during the
need it.
week. I actually just wanna fast forward to the
You're
weekend.
like, "Let's move
So,
forward," yeah.
yes. I get it. We're on 2 different priorities.
Maybe it's just this week for me.
Yeah, every week is different.
Yeah.
But here we are,
Here we
Tuesday.
are. Here we
We're
are.
gonna talk about let me think. Let me
Dating.
let me think of a topic because I don't know what we talk about on the show.
Although, we're actually kinda gonna get into it, like, it's kinda like the anti
Mm,
of dating, because we're actually gonna be talking about how you don't need to be good at dating, which
mm.
is something that you probably wouldn't expect to hear from the 2 of us. So, the relief here is if you are bad at dating, that might actually be a good thing.
Well, I guess when you're saying good at dating, it usually means that you're probably performative,
Mhm.
that you think a lot about your messages and you know how to have this witty banter. You're really polished at flirting and how you present yourself on dates, but that's not actual connection. That's just a good at a certain skill.
Right. I mean, there's clearly a line of, being terrible at dating and saying inappropriate things, but bad at dating, maybe it's like, I don't know all the rules. I don't know all the things I'm supposed to do. And the reality is that, when you show someone, who you are, it is messy, it is vulnerable, and sometimes awkward, but
Mhm.
that's what makes someone fall in love with you. It's not the games. It's not like holding back and not putting yourself out there.
And if you want the best hack to dating is find the ones who are not that great at dating because they make
Yes,
amazing partners. They're not in it for playing the games, they're not in it for vanity swipes. They're showing up as their authentic selves and that shit actually lasts. That's a connection that's built on a strong foundation.
totally. It's the people that are the slick daters, you gotta stay away from them.
I'm so scared of those because I used to be one of those.
You also dated someone that was very slick dater.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I've definitely fallen for that, and I've actually been that too. It's like the people that show up and they know how to package themselves to
Yeah,
get you to like them, to get people to match with them. Sure, they're charismatic and they're magnetic, but then when you get to know the real them, is there a connection? Do you actually even like spending time with this person? It's hard to know beneath all that performative antics.
this is why when people spend hours dissecting dating app profiles, it kinda kills me inside, because usually the people that have that great profile, they are they're like the house on Zillow
Yeah,
that, is all packaged up, that maybe doesn't actually have the best in structure and interiors. And, I remember I have, a friend that moved to this place, and, on the surface, it looked really nice, but the
yeah.
construction wasn't well done, so you could see that there were, cracks beneath the surface. And I think a lot of times, when we overly try to market ourselves and be buttoned up, that tends to be the people maybe that are the more slick daters, because they know what levers to pull. But if you're going into dating apps trying to find the best profile, that's who you're going to end up with.
Mhm. Yeah, but definitely have fallen for that on Zillow. Or even when searching for apartments, you go to the one that's staged very well, and
Yeah.
then you show up, there's cockroaches everywhere. And I remember going to a very nicely staged condo, and I went to sit on the bed, and it was made out of cardboard, and I fell. Like,
Oh my god.
I almost broke my hip because it was
If
not a real
that's not
bed.
an analogy for the wrong people in dating, I don't know what is.
But the bed looked amazing. Julie, it has so many pillows on it. I thought of you. I was like, "This is staged so well." That's why I went to sit on it. It looked so comfortable, and it was just a pile of cardboard.
I think another example I think of is the opening line.
Mm,
There's, like, so much emphasis. I always think of this episode we did with Kane Holloway, remember him?
yes.
It was like he was like, basically, like, his friends were telling him to be like a fuck boy, but he, like, couldn't
Yes.
be, and he was someone that came into the dating scene. He was so new because he was divorced or and, like, in relationships up until then, never really dated and never really went on apps, and
Yeah.
I remember, like, the things he was really focused on were, like, "What opening line do I do? Like, how do I say this?" Like, very, like, manipulating it, and I was like at first, I'm like, "This is so foreign to me," but I'm also like, I could see how someone could think, like, these are the things I need to do, because that's what
Mhm.
we're taught of, like, this is how you get on the apps, this is how you work the apps, but all of that is just so unnatural, right? And
Yeah.
for him, he was, like, such a good relationship-oriented person who was, like, basically doing all these things, thinking that's what he had to do to, like, be on dating apps and to date, but then it wasn't working because it wasn't actually who he was, and people, like, weren't getting that full connection to him.
It's the same feeling we have about being in your feminine and being in your
Mhm.
masculine. When you're told to act a certain way that's against who you naturally are, then who cares if you're acting in your feminine or your masculine? Just be yourself. But we've been told for so long in dating that we have to fit in the specific mold of someone to be desirable, to be popular, to be chosen.
Right.
That now we've gotten to a place where so many people don't even know who they are because 'cause they've been molded in so many different directions.
Right. And I think when you're so focused on, like, saying these witty things or, like, the things that you think will, like, land someone, you're not, like, conversing with them in a way that
Yeah.
actually, like, brings you closer to someone. And I know, like, we've made parallels between dating and friendship, and I know you could argue that, yeah, it's different because it's a different, like, market and all that stuff, but at the core of it, like, dating, like, it's really a friend that you wanna fuck, right? Like, at the end of the day, like, that is someone that can I say that on YouTube?
Sure
But,
can.
like, I think if you have that mentality, like, you think about it too. Like, I remember talking to a friend of mine, and she was, like, so out of the dating game, like, she'd been, like, with her, like, hi college boyfriend, but she worked at a dating app, so she was like, "I don't understand how people, like, kind of, like, date today, and, like, they expect everything to be, like, instant." And she's like, "Thinking about our friendship, like, it wasn't like we were instant BFFs. Like, it grew, it took time." And I think when you kinda get into that dating realm of, like, I need to be performative and say the certain things, like, that's not allowing for that space to happen where you actually just get to know another human being.
So if we were to make dating an Olympic sport and you were a coach for dating athletes, what do you think are the skills that people
Mm,
think they need to work on in order to win the Olympics of dating? Because I think the first skill people always think they need to work on is being interesting.
mhm.
Entertaining and interesting. I gotta have a funny story. I gotta be witty. I gotta come in with something that really grabs her or his attention when I
Yeah.
have the spotlight.
Yeah, I think that's why you get the people that, like, recite their resume or kinda lead with that stuff. I think there's that. I think of course, being attractive and putting yourself together, and, again, I'm not saying, like, you shouldn't show up nicely to a date, like, of course, show up in the way that's, like, makes you feel the best and, like, puts you in the best light for yourself, but I don't think you need to, like, transform into a person you're not on a
Mhm.
date or feel like that's what's getting in your way, because the reality is, like, there is a lid for every Oh my god, why did I just, like, blank on a lid for
Hot?
every pot? Oh my god, I forgot our favorite
How could
saying.
you? It's
Oh my
tattooed on my
goodness.
arm.
I know, this is, like, our thing. No, it's really not, it's been around forever, but we love this
But we
saying, "A
love this
lid
saying.
for every pot." But I agree, I think that's so true, though, and, like, I don't know, I feel like I was so in my head for years being like, "I have to look like this to, like, date and be with someone." Then you, like, look around at couples all over the place, no one looks the same, like, everyone is who they are. There's no, like, universal. I think all that stuff has been ingrained from media so bad.
Yeah, so the second skill that I think people wanna train for is their dating profile. They wanna
Yeah,
polish their dating profile to get as many matches as possible. I was watching this interview of this girl who just went on Raya, and the interviewer was like, "What do you think?" And she's like, "They all look the same. Every guy has a Burning Man picture, and then every man's a founder of something." Like,
right.
she's like, "They all look the same, but yet they all think they're very unique, and that they've somehow got this really shiny, profile for people to match on." I think that's what is so fascinating about dating is that the harder we try, the more we actually just look like everybody else.
I know. I mean, there was advice for a while of, like, to swipe as the sex that you're trying to attract. So, like, if you're, like, a hetero dater and you're looking for guys to, like, go on as or you're sorry, you're trying to attract men, go on as a wait, go on as a guy to see the other women. I was like, "What is that connection?"
Yeah.
Go on as a guy to see the other women. But I almost feel like that's not good advice thinking about it because you're basically just gonna morph your profile into looking like all the people you're seeing all the time. Like, unless you're, like, actively doing it the other way, but most times when you have that advice, you're like, "Well, let's see, who's attractive on here? Let me, like, emulate that person." But that's, like, kind of a bad approach when you think about it.
I guess it's a good approach if you're trying to stand out. I mean, if I were a guy trying to stand out and I see all these dudes posting their Burning Man photos, I'd be like, "Yep, not posting any photos
Yeah.
of me in fur."
You have to look at it that way, though, but I feel like most people, when they're doing it, are doing it the opposite.
Do you think so? Do you think people
I
just
think
wanna
so.
assimilate into
Or
one look?
it's not that they want to, I think it's, like, people
They
wanna
just
see
do
what
it.
works. And it's
Oh,
like, if I think
that's
this
sad.
person even though they don't really know, because you don't really know, like, how many matches this person is getting, and even if they're getting a ton of matches, are they the right person for you? Like,
Yeah.
that it doesn't matter, but I think when people do that, they look at, like, who's attractive through their eyes and then, like, be like, "Oh, their profile is, like, this long," or they're talking about travel and this stuff. I should add this stuff in.
Yeah. And I think that brings me to the third skill that people would wanna train for is how do I get as many dates in the funnel
Yeah.
as possible? Because you think you're good at dating when you play the numbers game and you gotta build that funnel, you gotta make sure that there's always someone in rotation. And we've talked about this in depth on this podcast is when you play the numbers game, you don't go deep with anybody. You're
No.
just scratching the surface. Everybody feels like a number, so you never get to a real close connection with anybody. And at the end of the day, when you've gone on 10 dates in 1 week that didn't amount to anything, I think that's much lonelier than going on
Oh,
1 or 2 really good connected dates.
100%. I think you're dead right on all of these, but they're kind of the opposite of what we need to be doing. Like, it
Yeah,
doesn't matter. Like, none of this matters. I think I still hold strong to less is more. And I get
absolutely.
it if you're not getting any matches, like, at all, then you need to look at, like, what's going on for you. But
Yeah,
just to put it out there, and I'm sorry if this offends someone, we've seen this before. People say they're not getting any matches, but then they're passing over people.
yeah,
Or they have someone that wants to go out with them again, and they're saying no to them. So, some of it's taking a deeper look too of, like, am I really actually not getting the matches, or is it something more that my expectations are off, or I'm holding to the wrong standards?
yeah, exactly. So if we're circling back to if you're training for the dating Olympics, these are the 3 skills to not spend any time on.
Right.
Like, The skill of trying to be interesting, the skill of having a polished profile, the skill of trying to get as many matches and dates as possible. If you're truly spending your time training for these 3 skills, you're spending your time on the wrong place. So if you catch yourself doing that, say, I'm not doing that. I'm gonna shift my energy elsewhere."
Can I just say a couple things that came to mind as, like, counter to these that I think
Yeah.
can immediately help people? The
Yes.
most interesting, we think that we need the story, we need the resume. The most interesting is the most interested. If
Yes.
you listen more on dates,
Oh,
stop talking as much. Make someone feel seen and heard. That doesn't mean you need to be, like, mute. Of course, that there has to be, like, dialogue going back and forth, but it almost gives more of that breathing space to let the other person be themselves and to get to know
yes.
them. You don't need to come prepared with an interesting story. Talk to someone like you would a friend that you're meeting. I think all this pressure on dates is making them feel so awkward and contrived. If we reduce that pressure and make it that meet and greet, I'm just meeting someone new. What would I ask someone new? Would I listen and bounce off an idea and question from that? That's going to go so much further. So it actually gives permission to like not be as prepared. And maybe like that's stressing you out. If you're the type of person that's like, "I can't go into a date with nothing," fine. Have that one story that you can always fall back on or one point that you wanna bring up, but I think beyond that, it's just gonna feel like a really awkward conversation if it feels like there's such an agenda.
I have such a great example of that. I went on a date years and years ago with this guy who came in hot with his perspective on immigration. He had
Oh
a
my god.
very strong stance about immigration. It was actually, admittedly, kind of interesting, and I listened to it. So we spent the whole date
But
talking
was
about
that the
his.
first thing that he said to you? Or was
Yes,
that like
like
okay,
one of the first
that's
things.
aggressive to me as, like, the first thing.
It's just all about immigration because I think it was something in the news that spurred this, and he just it was top of mind, and he obviously had refined his talking points to showcase on this date. And at the end of the date, he's like, "So how do you think this date went?" And I said, "So you know I'm an immigrant, right?" And he's like, "Yes." And I was like, "Do you know my stance on immigration?"
Yeah,
And he's like, "Oh, uh" I mean, you didn't offer it. And I was like, how do you think we can have a discussion about immigration with an actual immigrant and you not ask me one question about how I feel about immigration policies? It is so wild that he didn't even care about my experience. And even though he has such an interesting perspective, I'll still give him that.
yeah,
I felt like we would never work out. I walked away so angry because I was like,
yeah.
he obviously didn't care about my side or my experience or my journey. It was all about him spewing his perspective.
There's so many things about that story feel wrong to me. I mean, first of all, like what you said, yes, was not a conversation. It was a TED Talk given by him. But
TED Talk.
also to go in with such a topic without reading the
Yeah.
room, about seeing the vibe. I mean, I have been guilty of this. I remember I went on a date and it was like when everything was really heated. It was like 2020 with political
Mhm.
stuff. And I want like it was just top of mind. And that's what I wanted to talk about. But like looking back on it, it's like, is that really what I needed to talk about to get to know this other human being?
Right.
Like maybe if it just came up organically, but like, did it need to be the focus of our date? And then we couldn't get off of it. Like that was all we talked about was that,
Mm.
and it's like at the end of the day, I look back at that guy and I don't really know anything about him. I don't even
Right.
like even like he was agreeing with me in stance, but like besides that, what do I have?
Right. And it's such an opportunity when we have these discussions. We're not saying like, oh, there's certain topics to avoid,
No.
but it's an opportunity to get to know the person you're on a date with. It's not an opportunity for you to stand on your stage
Yep.
giving your TED talk. It's not a place for that. And I still think in my example, it was such a great opportunity for him to be like, oh, when did you come over to the US? Or
Right.
when were you what was the naturalization process like? He didn't
He
give a
could
shit, you
he
know?
coulda eased into that convo too, and
Yeah,
that's the
which
thing
is
is, like
it's
yeah,
not political at all. It's purely
right.
about my background.
Yeah, and if he stated it as, like, "I'm getting to know you, let me
Yeah,
listen," then he could have shared his stance, and then
totally.
if you were receptive, you could have had a long convo, or if you weren't, then you don't have a long convo, and you
Yeah,
move on to something else, like, you don't need to
right.
come with such an agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's the first thing that comes to mind, what you were saying before about, like, so much time spent on your profile.
Yes.
Here's the hack, especially for hetero women. Reach out. Like, it doesn't matter if your profile is polished, just reach out to men, to hetero men. And I hear people being like, "I don't wanna do that." It's 2025, like, who the F cares? Like, it's getting the ball rolling. But we did this whole episode about the 80/20 rule on dating apps, and there's a lot of people that talk about this, of just how men have to swipe and they never talk to anyone. It's like an endless drain, and then that doesn't make them feel good because, like, why do you wanna just, like, be on this app where you're constantly swiping, never talking to a human being? And then for women, they're focused on the 20%, like, the top 20% of
Mhm.
men. Everyone's, like, trying to
Going after the
engage with
same.
those people, and then they don't engage back, and that's discouraging. My take is, like, realize that the profile doesn't really matter from what we're talking about, it's just the Zillow
Yes.
staging that doesn't matter. Be a little more lenient if someone is cute enough or good looking enough, have a conversation with them. Send that message because I think that goes so much further than making sure you have a polished profile and then sitting there and waiting passively for someone to message you. Someone that's probably quite burnt out, to be honest.
So maybe for you can do a one-to-one ratio. You for every minute you spend polishing your dating
Yeah,
profile, you also spend a minute reaching out to people. So the
totally.
longer you spend on your dating profile, the longer you spend reaching out to people.
I like that. And then the third one, what was the third one that you had? The going on
Uh
tons of dates.
yeah, numbers game.
I think this one, why can't we bring back the screen more? I feel like
Yeah.
this was something that was really, really useful during COVID times because people didn't want to meet up with every last person, but it brought excitement. Like you had a phone call first, you had a video chat. And that's not to mean that you like expect instant chemistry from either. But I remember going on a lot of phone and video calls and I'm like, it's like pulling teeth to talk to this person. Like
Mhm.
there is nothing there, then you save your time. If you're like, "Okay, this was like, again, good enough." It's not settling. It's just the reality of going from a digital space to a in-person space. Good enough. I'm going to go meet this person and then
Yep.
I'll be excited to put a face to the name or I'll be excited to learn more from our 10-minute conversation. You don't have to be on the phone with them for hours. Just be on there for 5 to 10 minutes.
Yes. What we're trying to help you all do is build up excitement to
Yeah.
meet someone. When you're dating like it's a numbers game, there is no looking forward to that
No.
date because you're just checking it off. You're trying to hit a fucking quota for the week. But if you make dating an event, you do the screen, you decide to go on a date with them, you save Wednesday nights for dates. Then Wednesday nights, it's like your Broadway nights. It's like your event night. Make it something you look forward to so that you're able to put yourself in the right headspace and bring the right energy to a date and not just say, "Who's next?"
Right.
numbers game.
It's also what you were saying too, is if you go on 10 bad dates, then it feels worse. So it's not only just, I mean, part of it is showing up like more present for the people you actually go on a date with. But the
Yeah.
other thing is you get all that time back and you get to use it
Oh,
in ways that fill up your cup and give you energy, whether that's with friends or doing hobbies or whatever. I don't even know, just doing your own thing, like whatever
yeah.
that is. That actually, like, I think we, like, forget about the benefit that has, that
Mhm.
brings into our dating lives too, because if we have a fuller life, it doesn't put as much pressure on the dating aspect.
Yeah. I get so frustrated when people cancel plans with their friends or family to
Yes,
go
for a
on a
date.
date with some rando on a first
Yes,
date. I feel like that shows your priorities are off. The time is spent with the people who earned it, which are the people who have established relationships in your life, and whoever else you bring into your life now has to be really worth it. right?
And I get where I remember I had a friend, and ironically, when she actually met someone, she was not in this mind space. Not ironically, that's what happens. But she was like, "I need to prioritize dating." Like,
Mhm.
everyone is starting to couple up. I haven't, like, whatever, had someone. I need to prioritize it. So she would excuse, like, canceling plans because she was prioritizing dating. I don't
Mhm.
think prioritizing dating needs to be going on every last date with every last person and changing your life around to accommodate a rando. I think prioritizing dating can be doing the work to figure out what you actually want, which is all in How
Yes.
to Be Dateable, and then letting the right people come in and using your energy for those people. We have a whole chapter, Gaining Clarity,
Yes.
which I stand by is if you wanna change the way you date, like, you just need to do like, focus on this chapter.
Yeah, just go to that
Because,
chapter first.
I mean, read the whole book, but yes, go to that chapter.
Well, you can
Is
skip around. It's fine.
is I think though having that, it allows you to be, like, much more discerning of who comes in and out and
Right.
how you prioritize and spend energy. And then because I think what happens if you don't have that North Star, if you don't have our perfect partner equation that we have in that chapter too, you think that, "Oh, well, I can't not go on this date. What if they're the one? What if,
Yeah.
like, this is my opportunity and I'm gonna miss it because 'cause I'm going to the movies with my best friend that I can see every week?" The reality is, like, that's not first of all, not gonna happen. The right person, like, if you tell them you need to meet up the next week, will still be there if they're the right person. But also, like, if you have the perfect partner equation in your North Star, you could have that screen and make sure someone isn't, like, so wildly off. We're not saying you'll learn everything about them on a phone call, but you'll know if someone is, like, completely in left field, or let's say you're like, "I need someone that's reliable," and they hit you up at the very last minute, and then the old you would just drop your friends and go hang out with this person. The new you could be like, "I don't actually want someone that's gonna hit me up 10 minutes before they
Mm.
wanna go out."
Yeah, that's called having standards.
It is, but I think that that makes the right people come into your orbit. I stand by that.
That's what we always talk about with the settling paradox when people say, "Oh, I'm so picky. I'm too picky." Yet then you see the type of people they tolerate in their life. Their standards aren't that high, but they think on paper they're very picky. They're looking for the specific
Yeah.
type of person. Can we get pickier about our standards of the
Yes.
types of behaviors we allow into our lives? You will be able to cut out 90% of the people you meet on dating apps, and you'll save 90% of your time
And that's a
to do
good
something
thing. That's
else.
a good
Yeah.
thing. Yeah. That's how you get good at dating, right there.
Yeah,
That's
write
how
it
you
down.
get good at dating. I feel like this episode was hopefully with some tough love. I think it was a little bit of a rant, but I feel like it's something that we feel passionately about, as you can tell. We feel strongly about this. We feel like the way we've been told to date is setting us up to fail,
It
and
is.
really, like, we need to rewrite that, and that's how we have great relationships.
So go out there and stop training for the dating Olympics and start training your heart.
Yeah, love it. There's no medal for the being the best dater.
No. Mm-mm. That medal's not worth it if that's what you're chasing. Maybe there's a trophy. If that's the case, Julie would want it, and you wouldn't get it because
I would
Julie
take the
would get it.
best undater, yeah.
All right. Thanks
Awesome,
for
well, this
tuning
was so
in.
great.
We'll be
Okay,
back
we'll
next
see you
week.
next week.